Hello and welcome to the Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. You can't see my background, but I just started I just started week 8 of my 12-week challenge. It's the last 5 weeks. 25 days remaining. Oh my goodness. So, I do the challenge 5 days a week. I do something spiritual, physical, and with the business. And the thing I do with the business is this right here, right now. Now, as I said yesterday, I want to go through my 120 case studies. And as you can see, based on the methodology that we were talking about last time, I was saying that I run into a lot of sales and marketing problems, product development R&D problems, enhanced service level, internal controls, staffing, coordination, supplier, vendor, supply chain. Now, the problem with CEOs is that, for example, this lady Renata, I can't remember where she's from, somewhere in Eastern Europe, maybe Czech Republic, I think it was Czech Republic. And she owns a furniture store. And so I was looking at her customer file, and she was actually, we could go to her customer file. And it was I started reading it. So you can see I used to have this methodology where you don't want to talk about managing people, do you want to talk about working with partners, you do want to talk about developing projects. And I've changed that, as you guys all know, to this new methodology where it's more like, are you managing C-levels? Are you managing a department? Are you managing a project level? Or are you delivering? Are you So I changed. Now this is this huge, methodology. And what it really boils down to is, are you an executive? Are you a department manager? Or are you a floor manager? Because a department manager, they're going to be managing analysts, decision makers, and if they're a floor manager, then they're a coordinator, or they're managing individuals and coordinators. And that's so over here you can see that I've added this level. So it looks like sales and marketing is mainly department level stuff. Product development is a department level. Enhancing service level, at this point it's a floor. For this example, it's a UX designer. There's also a guy that worked at Canadian Tire. So I put two names in the same box because basically they were doing the same thing. One guy was building supplies, that's Canadian Tire. One guy's a logistics, like a warehouse. There's not that much difference between a warehouse and a Canadian Tire. That's like Home Depot. And they're just doing motivation and training. So I'm starting to put all of these. So back to CEO. So Renata, it's I started going through her file. So they're doing furniture company, carpentry, top 3 issues, finding new customers, finding cheaper sources of materials, setting goals for the company. Now, hey, that sounds kind of familiar. So you open up synergies, and it's what? So expanding the range, so the product. So how do we get new customers? And then coordination, and then providers and vendors. So obviously she's a CEO because she has questions about each of these levels. So that's why I'm kind of confused exactly where to throw her. She's a long time ago. You can tell because I'm using my 1.0 to-do list, and also there's no images in this section. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that, do some follow-up that I am putting together this chart and going through my old files. And I also wanted just to point out this thing about M&A. So I had a new student today, and she's working for an M&A company. And it was interesting because after using some of the tools that I have to help her to talk about the things that she wanted to talk about, then everything was fine. And then after talking to her, then I had a meeting with a banker. Now let's see if Loom is going to stop the video. Beep. be no. All right. So then I had a meeting with a banker, and the banker has done like many M&A type deals, and I showed him some of the things that she had talked about with me. And he said, actually, what's important, he said, you need to assure that the investor and the company have the ability to align their purposes. All right. So he said, when the purpose of the startup doesn't fit with the investor's purpose, it doesn't matter if the company can deliver good results because the whole negotiation is not balanced and you don't have a fluid negotiation. At the end, despite the interests of the investors and companies, you have to build a solid base to deliver on long-term results. When company purposes don't match, you can only deliver on short-term results. And so then I created, this next question, which I'm going to ask this M&A student: what can you do to build a long-term vision? So if you focus on the expectations in the beginning, then you may miss the real purpose. So then he gave me an example. He said, so for example, he said, imagine you have an investor or a banker who's working in the carbon credit industry. So I'm now looking for carbon credit traders. If you focus on carbon credits, you only focus on one KPI. If you focus on transitioning to a low carbon future, you'll understand the bigger picture of synergies and long-term conditions, which will lead to protecting the environment over the long term, which means teaching the local population about new ways of life, helping people evolve, and therefore protect the environment. So it's interesting. What I realized was, I do have a purpose. So yeah, I do want to have a platform someday where coaches are being able to connect with people who want coaching. And in order to develop coaches, I would like to have this online teaching series, this online course series. And in order to develop the course, of course, I am teaching people and working with students. But I'm not actually working with students because I want to do all those things. That's not my deeper purpose. That's not my why. So my why is that I'm here to help people overcome emotional, structural, and intellectual barriers and to help them succeed. And what I realized after the last couple of days, and I mean in previous videos that I've made, like I mentioned, remember there's that one, there's not a lot of people that were patient to go through that live video, but basically I was kind of admitting that like my current management level is at the results level. Like I'm at the decision, I'm trying to push myself up to this decision level, but I'm actually at this results level. I'm a manager of individuals and coordinators. So what does that mean for me? So like, how do I work with people who are far more advanced? For example, this guy who I was talking about, where I shared with him some of the ideas that this lady working in M&A is working on. And he shared some of his ideas about having a shared purpose. So it means, this guy's a banker, and he's been a banker for 30 years. And I don't know why he decided to have coaching sessions from me. But in our coaching session, he actually is, a lot of the time he's coaching me. He's helping me. I'm asking him questions. And I hope that in the process of me asking questions of him and learning from him, it's also helping him to overcome some emotional, structural, or intellectual barriers. So, it's an interesting process to try to be flexible for the people that you work with, and try to understand where other people are coming from, and try to understand like what are their needs, and to understand what is the best way to help them. And sometimes older people, they just want someone that they can talk to, someone that they can share their ideas with. They already know all the answers, but it can be lonely at the top. And I just said, yeah, but I know, I recognize I'm at the bottom. And he said, yeah, but you're only at the bottom now. That's just the beginning. And I said, yeah, it's true. If you know you're at the bottom of the mountain, that means that you can climb. But if you don't think that you're at the bottom of the mountain, if you think there's no more mountain above, if you can't see that there's more mountain above, then you're not going to be climbing. So I'm going to keep working on this, and I'm going to keep climbing. And I hope everyone's climbing. I guess part of being a coach is just trying to be like motivational and giving some good motivational stories. So this has been another episode of Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. Still Blaine Gates.